not for you. It's a testimony for the world. And they're going to say, now I know that there's a God that will come see about you. Now I know Peter's deliverance. He went to that house and the girl thought it was his spirit. She said, oh my God, she couldn't even open the door because he was so shook that he had got out of it. And see, let me tell you something. When your enemies plot against you, when everything looked very bad, when it looked like all hell has broke loose, when you come present yourself, your enemies gonna be so shook because they didn't think you were gonna be able to get out of it. But if you read on down, Herod had plotted this thing, and it wasn't far from there that he died himself. If you dig one ditch, you better dig two. That's what God let you know today. If you dig one ditch, you better dig two. God is not afraid of the enemy, so he's wondering. I heard this story about a dog that had been chained up for months and months. His owner put a leash around him and he let him go. He couldn't go but so far every day. So one day his owner decided to take the leash off of him. But do you know that dog still went the same distance because he didn't know he was loose. He didn't know he was loose. And see, that's what the people of God are doing today. You going a little bit, but you won't go on. You will back up when you get to a certain point. That's because you don't know that you loose on today. You don't know that you loose on today. You don't know that you are loose on today. You don't know that you loose on today. You free on today. No more chains are binding me. You're not held in bondage. The enemy can't hold you captive. You are loose on today. You're loose on today. You are loose on today. You're loose on today. You are loose on today. God said you're not bound. So why are you going to find yourself and taking 10 back? He said you're loose on today. No more chains are binding me. But let me give you a little secret. Peter wasn't in jail just because he didn't do nothing. If you read on in the 11th chapter, Peter had just been called to Cornelius' house. And see, the gospel was just for the Jews. We are considered the Gentiles. Did you know that on the day? We're considered the Gentiles on the day. See, the gospel was only for the Jews. And Peter, even though, like Minister Smith said last week, he was a ooh. He was a ooh. But see, that give everybody out there a clue. It don't matter what you have done. It don't matter what the people say about you. It don't matter where you've been. It don't matter if you was a crackhead. It don't matter if you was a drug addict. It don't matter if you was sleeping with every man that you can find to sleep with. It don't matter if you was sleeping with every man you was sleeping with. But when God called you, and one thing God let me know, he said, you look in the Bible. I pick people that pick the world or the church people. Because see, Peter was getting persecuted by some of the Pharisees and some of the so-called church people also. If you read in there a little bit further. But he said, he let me know, if you go out there and wrestle with the devil, if you go out there and do your due, then crack, drink, smoke weed and all that stuff. Yeah, all the good stuff that we felt like we were doing in the world. He said, but if you make it back in, that let me know you wrestle with the devil. You wrestle with him. But guess what? You beat him. Because you switch partners. You switch partners. So when you wrestle with the devil, see, I let you go out there and thought you were doing your due, but you made it back in. And so when you wrestle with the devil and beat him and make it back in, God let me know that I'm going to use you for my glory. I'm going to use you for my glory. See, you made it back in. You made it back Gentiles. And see, let me tell you, the enemy, not King Herod, because the people that's persecuting us, it ain't us, because those spirits say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and high wicked places. When we're on assignment for God, the enemy's on assignment to destroy us. And Peter had just been sent to Cornelius' house. He had been sent on assignment, and God had sent him there. Peter didn't even want to go himself. He said, when God presented the animals to him out of heaven, he said, I don't eat anything unclean. But God said, whatever I call clean. Whatever. See, that's why people ain't got to speak over. People ain't got to say that you're anointed. People ain't got to play your plan. People ain't got to do your due. But see, God said, whatever I call clean, don't you call it dirty. So you go ahead and let them talk about you. You go ahead and let them put you down. But if God put his mark on you, if he anointed you to do his will, to do his way, it ain't nobody. And see, not only did he speak over the Gentiles, but he sent somebody to get them and loose them and let them go free. So wonder why it was the world, that it was the Gentiles, us, the people that were out of covenant, that Peter brought into covenant. So he did a great and mighty work for God. Wonder why the enemy started pushing up against him. Wonder why he started pressing up against him. Wonder why he wanted to lock him up and put him in prison. Wonder why he wanted to shut his mouth. And some of you would get a clue on today. And some of you would just get a clue on today. And say, sometimes we'll say, if it ain't one thing or another, but what you got, then the enemy wants from you on today. If you would just get a clue about what you got in your belly on today. If you would just get a clue, he's calling about Sunday, about what you got in your belly today. You wouldn't sweat the small stuff. God said he calling about Sunday, if you would just get a clue, you wouldn't worry about why the enemy's pressing up against you every chance he's get. Why is it this? Why is it that? If we would just get a clue about what we got that the enemy want to take from us. What is it? What is it? But see, when we get hard pressed on every side, then when we start praying and asking heaven, come in and see about me, then we gonna press to God, and God gonna dispatch his heavenly host to come and loose us. And before we know it, we gonna be out of prison. We gonna be out of bondage, and we will rest in the Lord. And we will rest in the Lord. God said, if you would just rest in me, rest in the Lord, rest in the Lord, rest in the Lord, and we will learn how to ignore the devil and rest in the Lord, rest in the Lord, rest in the Lord. Now see, one thing I gotta tell you, Peter was all for God. He didn't shortchange him. He raised